Your dog has stopped on the walk, not because of something interesting ahead, not because of a smell that requires investigation. They have stopped because they have identified a patch of grass that requires immediate, dedicated consumption. They are eating the lawn with complete calm and total commitment, like this is a reasonable thing to be doing right now, which, according to everything your dog's biology knows about the situation, it genuinely is. Welcome to Hidden Paw Signals. Today, we are covering one of the most commonly Googled dog behaviors ever. Why do dogs eat grass? And I promise the real answer is more interesting and more complicated than the explanation you have probably heard. Stick around, because there is a detail toward the end of this video that completely changes how you think about the grass-eating situation. Subscribe now if you want to understand your dog at a level that goes beyond the basic stuff. Let us start with the most popular explanation you have probably heard, which is that dogs eat grass because they feel sick and are trying to make themselves vomit. This explanation is everywhere, it is repeated constantly, and the research suggests it is mostly wrong. A study led by Dr. Benjamin Hart at the University of California, Davis, and published in the journal Applied Animal Behavior Science, surveyed a large population of dog owners about their dog's grass-eating behavior and found that only about 25% of dogs who regularly eat grass vomit afterward. And of the dogs who ate grass, only about 8% were observed to show signs of illness before eating it, which means that the vast majority of dogs eating grass are not sick, did not appear sick before eating it, and do not vomit after it. They just eat grass, for other reasons entirely. Your dog does this too, right? Do they eat grass regularly, or is it occasional and specific? Drop in the comments, because the pattern tells us something about the motivation. The first alternative explanation with meaningful research support is the ancestral diet and fiber hypothesis. Dogs' wild ancestors did not eat only muscle tissue and organs. They consumed whole prey, which included the digestive contents of the animals they hunted, and herbivore digestive contents are, by definition, full of plant material. The ancestral canine digestive system evolved in a context where plant material was a consistent and nutritionally relevant component of the diet. Some researchers propose that the grass-eating behavior in domestic dogs reflects a retained drive to consume plant fiber that was nutritionally appropriate in the ancestral context, whether or not it is nutritionally necessary in the current context of a well-formulated commercial diet. Your dog is not malfunctioning when they eat grass. They may be following an ancient dietary impulse that made complete sense for millions of years before the invention of the twice-daily bowl. The second explanation involves taste and texture, and it is one of the most underappreciated dimensions of this behavior. Not all grass is created equal in terms of a dog's sensory experience of it. Young, tender spring grass in particular appears to have a taste and texture that many dogs find genuinely palatable and interesting, independent of any nutritional or medicinal function. Research observing which grass dogs preferentially consume when offered a variety has found consistent preferences for younger, more tender growth over mature or dry grass. This is not a dog consuming grass out of desperation or medical need. This is a dog consuming something that tastes good to them, something that their palate finds enjoyable, in the same way you might eat something that is not strictly nutritionally necessary, but that your taste system finds pleasant. Your dog may simply enjoy eating grass sometimes. This is deeply unbothering once you accept it. Does your dog have grass preferences? Do they go for the freshest patches, or do they eat indiscriminately? This is actually meaningful behavioral data about which motivation is dominant for your individual dog. Selective, fresh growth preferring grass eaters are probably in the taste and texture category. Non-selective, any available grass eaters may be in the fiber-seeking or ancestral drive category. There is a third dimension worth understanding, which is the pica consideration. Pica is the behavioral tendency to consume non-food items, and it can be triggered by nutritional deficiencies, anxiety, boredom, or medical conditions in some dogs. Occasional selective grass eating is generally not considered pica and does not indicate a problem. Compulsive, continuous, or seemingly uncontrollable plant consumption, particularly if it extends to other non-food materials, is a different pattern that deserves veterinary attention. The distinction matters. Occasional grass eating is normal canine behavior.
Compulsive, uncontrollable consumption of plant matter or other non-food materials is a behavioral or medical concern worth discussing with your vet. From the perspective of what you should actually do about the grass eating, for most dogs in most situations, the answer is not much. The behavior is normal, common. Surveys suggest over 60% of dogs eat grass at least occasionally, and not harmful as long as the grass has not been treated with pesticides, herbicides, or fertilizers. Treated grass is the one real concern here because the chemicals used in lawn care can be significantly harmful to dogs who consume treated vegetation. If your dog eats grass in areas where you cannot confirm the treatment history, discouraging the behavior is reasonable and appropriate. If your dog eats grass in your own untreated yard or on verified untreated grass, the behavioral response is mainly just to watch and appreciate that your dog is doing something their ancestors have been doing for thousands of years, for reasons that have nothing to do with being sick and everything to do with the fact that grass is, apparently, acceptable if you know what you are looking for in a grass. There is also a seasonal dimension to grass-eating behavior that many dog owners notice and that the research offers some useful context for. Dogs tend to eat more grass in spring and early summer when young grass growth is at its most tender and its most chemically active in terms of the compounds that make it palatable. This seasonal pattern supports the taste explanation more than the self-medication one, since grass eaten for nausea would not follow the seasonal growth stage of the grass. The dog who is significantly more interested in grass in April than in August is almost certainly responding to a difference in the grass itself, its texture, its freshness, its specific chemical profile, rather than to a seasonal change in their own gastrointestinal state. Does your dog have a preference for specific types of grass or plants, or do they eat indiscriminately? Some dogs show very specific preferences, consistently seeking out particular grass species or particular growth stages, which is strong behavioral evidence for the palatability and sensory motivation, rather than the random self-medication framing. A dog who consistently seeks the same patch of young grass is making a sensory choice. There is also a behavioral enrichment dimension worth understanding. Foraging, the act of searching for and consuming plant material, is a natural behavior that dogs are equipped for through both their ancestral diet and their sensory architecture. In environments where a dog's foraging drive has few appropriate outlets, grass eating may serve partly as an available foraging activity, rather than being primarily nutritionally or medically motivated. Dogs who have more opportunities for foraging-type enrichment, sniffing out food in puzzle feeders, foraging in safe garden environments, or on varied sensory-rich walks, sometimes show less intense or less frequent grass-eating behavior. which is consistent with the idea that some grass eating is driven by the foraging drive seeking an outlet. This does not mean grass eating is a problem to solve. It means that if you find it excessive or you are concerned about your specific environment's grass safety, providing richer foraging opportunities through other channels can be a useful and beneficial redirection. If you ever observe grass eating that is followed by significant distress, repeated vomiting, or that seems compulsive and uncontrollable, that version of the behavior deserves a veterinary conversation. The normal, selective, occasional seasonal grass eating of a healthy dog does not. Something worth wrapping up with. The most important practical thing to take from the research is that treating grass eating as automatically concerning is not warranted by the available evidence. It is a normal, widespread behavior with several plausible non-emergency explanations and a reassuringly low association with genuine illness. Your dog is not sending you a distress signal when they eat grass. They are doing something that 60% or more of the dog population does regularly, for reasons that range from sensory enjoyment to ancient dietary instinct to simple foraging drive expression. The right response in most cases is to make sure the grass is untreated, watch and confirm the normal pattern of no significant aftermath, and let your dog enjoy one of the oldest behaviors in their behavioral repertoire. If the pattern ever changes significantly, new intensity, new aftermath, new accompanying symptoms, that is when veterinary input becomes relevant. Until then, the grass is probably fine, and your dog's reasons for eating it are almost certainly more interesting than being sick. And just to be clear about my sourcing here, the central study I keep coming back to, the one led by Dr. Benjamin Hart at the University of California, Davis, was published in Applied Animal Behavior Science, and the broader behavioral research I reference comes from that same journal and from the Journal of Veterinary Behavior. I only work from peer-reviewed sources on this channel. Just a quick note before you go. Everything I share on this channel comes from my own research and learning journey. I am not a vet, I am not a scientist, and I am definitely not a certified dog behaviorist. This is just one person going way too deep into dog psychology and sharing what they found. So please, if your dog is showing any serious, sudden, or unusual symptoms, do not diagnose it with YouTube. Go see your actual vet. They went to school for this. I watched videos about it. Those are different things. And as always, this video was produced with the help of artificial intelligence. Thanks for watching Hidden Paw Signals. See you in the next one.